everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we, granted this day, the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city to make it a better place to live and work. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Lenzi. Here. Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Mayor Caulfield. Here. Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Here.
9 present.
The chair would like to recognize Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Paul Melanson, a lifelong resident of Lowell and graduate of Lowell High School class of 1951. After graduation, he enlisted in the United States Navy, serving aboard the USS Gordius ARL 36, and was honorably discharged in 1954. He was a veteran of the Korean War. He was a stationary fireman at the Lowell incinerator and later at the Riley School, and prior to his retirement at the City Works Barn on Fletcher Street. After his retirement from the city, Paul enjoyed working part-time at the Market Basket on Route 38, where I first met Paul, who greeted everyone he met with a warm hello and a big contagious smile. Mr. Melanson was a past master of the Kilwinning Lodge and a Scottish Rite 32nd degree Mason, and also a member of the York Rite, as well as a member of the Aleppo Shriners in Wilmington. He was a dedicated volunteer at the Lowell Senior Center since 2002. He leaves behind his loving daughter Susan, as well as many friends at the Senior Center. He was a friend of mine, and he will be truly missed. Thank you.
And the mayor would like to have a moment of silence for Catherine Marion Shanahan, matriarch of a large respected family in our city, a loving wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, pillar of St. Patrick's Church for decades. Her loving and caring ways for many people, especially those in need, will never, ever be forgotten. Let us please rise with darkened chambers for these two outstanding people. Thank you. May they rest in peace. Moving on with the agenda, I see our good friend Robert Ethia is here to address the council from the Renaissance Club, I believe.
That's right.
Robert, the podium is yours.
Thank you for inviting me, Mayor Caulfield, and fellow city council members. As you already know, this is Mental Health Awareness Month here at the Renaissance Club in all of the state of Massachusetts and the United States. City of Lowell, you are invited to participate in the 6th annual Bowl for Mental Health. This year it's called International Empowerment Power Play because it has an international theme to it. This bowl-a-thon will be on Thursday, May 21st, 2008, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. Brunswick Zone is sponsoring the event at Brunswick Zone and Pawtucket Boulevard in Lowell. If you want to be a team captain, you will be responsible for developing and overseeing a team of 5, including yourself, making sure everyone shows up at Brunswick Zone by 12:30. The reason 12:30 because we're hoping for more teams this year, and to make sure that everybody gets a good warm-up before the event. The day of the event on 12:30. Bowlers will sue the Bowl for Mental Health sponsor sheet with a list of sponsors, addresses, phone numbers, and pledge amounts. Completed sheets and collected money can be submitted on the day of the event. The annual Bowl for Mental Health is a celebration of mental health, National Mental Health Month, held every May. Money raised at this event will benefit Renaissance Club, a program serving adults with mental illnesses who reside in Greater Lowell. I've done this bowl-a-thon for around 7 years, but this is going to be our sixth because in 2006, we couldn't have our bowl-a-thon because of the floods. But I'm like just here to talk about the Bowl for Mental Health. The Renaissance Club is looking for a city council person to be part of our advisory board. And it's like 1 hour a month, and we do a lot of fun things like we eat at restaurants, we discuss the topics. I've been in boards for like 5 years, and that's great that I'm the chairman of the Renaissance Club Advisory Board, because I can speak on some behalf of the Renaissance Club. We've been doing a media blitz for the past couple of days. I was on WUML 91.5 FM Lowell with our director, Elaine Walker. And just this morning, Elaine Walker and 2 of our members were on Thinking Out Loud television on Channel 8 at 10 a.m.
Okay. Robert, when is the bowl-a-thon? Just give us that date again, and so we can
May
know.
21st,
May 21st. What time?
from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
I know that Rita Mercia is going to be part of this and her team, and I'd like to hear from Rita.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not that I'm really a good bowler. In fact, I do have a name. I'm the gutter bowl queen because my bowling ball goes in the gutter all the time. But it's for a good cause, and I say that if you want to contribute, you don't have to play and show how unprofessional you are with the bowling, but come on down to the Brunswick Zone, 647 Pawtucket Boulevard on Thursday, May 21st from 1 to 3, and we'd gladly and welcome your donations because it's for a great cause to aid people that are mentally challenged, and they do a tremendous job with these people. And Bob, you're doing a great job, and we're very, very proud of all the time and effort you put into it.
Every year I do this bowl-a-thon, and some people don't know about it that much. Every year I try to make it better. This year we started out with 15 teams, and now I'm hoping to still be 15 or more teams by the time the bowl-a-thon comes to contingent. Hoping for a major, surprisingly enough, we got the sun, we got a team sponsored by Caldwell Banker. So far, we've raised about $1,500.
Robert, we have to move the meeting.
Sure, why not?
So, thank you very much for being here. Robert. The date of the bowl-a-thon is Thursday, May 21st, from
1 to 3.
1 to 3 at the Brunswick Bowling Lanes. And I can't make it that date because my daughter's graduating. But I know Councilor Mercy will be there and other councilors to support you. So thank you once again for being with us at the council chambers. And now I'd like to bring a new business owner into our city. It seems exciting. Home away from home. Certainly a person who needs no introduction into these chambers is Lynn Brown-Zunas.
Thank you, Mayor Caulfield. Thank you very much. As you probably know, we did have our grand opening the other evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming to that grand opening and helping us open and cutting the ribbon, and Mr. Manager and Mayor Rita Mercia. Excuse me, I just gave you a promotion.
I appreciate
Mayor,
it.
Councilwoman. It is an adult day health center for folks that are 18 and over, adult, disabled, and seniors, to spend the day with us. It's not a residential program. but we're about 99% ready to receive our Mass Health license, and we will also be accepting private pay participants. It's on 150 Industrial Avenue in Lowell, and we're open on a daily basis from 8 a.m. till 4 if anybody would like to stop by and take a tour of the facility. It's a large facility, and I think what separates us from the other adult day health centers in the city is the size. It's 10,000 square feet, which results in a lot of different activities going on at different times throughout the day, so you're not all in one room doing the same activity together. We will also transport people back and forth to their medical appointments while they're there, and as well as do field trips and social trips during the day. So we are open. We are receiving names to put on our waiting list and just waiting. Our first day of business will probably be June 1st of next month. So we're happy to be here in the city. We're happy to participate. My partner, Ron Lucas, couldn't be here tonight. He was on his way here and got a call from school that his 15-year-old son broke his ankle in some training episode after school, so he had to leave and get back out of the city to get that child to a hospital. So we apologize for not being here, but thanks, everybody. And I really want to thank the community, because in the past week, with our 3 open houses, we had over 500 people attend in the course of a week. So thank everybody for attending, and we're open. So if you haven't been there yet, please feel free to stop by. We're there every day of the week, Monday through Saturday right now.
Lynn, under your direction and leadership, it will be a huge success. And it was. Thank you. I'm very, very impressed with the facility.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's not on your agenda, but I would ask the council to allow Kathy Sullivan from Lowell General Hospital to address the council. Lowell General Hospital, for decades, has hosted the Lowell General Cancer Walk, very, very successful program which raises hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars into the community. It stays right here. And Kathy Sullivan, it's a pleasure to have you amongst us. And if you'd like to address the viewing audience and the council, go right ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Caulfield, City Council, Manager Lynch, and all the residents of Greater Lowell. My name is Kathy Sullivan. I'm the events manager for Lowell General Hospital. Thank you for having me here this evening. I'm here tonight to share information with you on our upcoming Team Walk for Cancer Care that leads over 5,000 walkers through the streets of downtown Lowell. When Team Walk first started in 2000, it was an idea to raise money for those in the community that were facing cancer. Lowell General Hospital's Team Walk for Cancer Care has grown each year, raising more than $3 million and providing assistance and programs to more than 10,000 people within our community. Money generated by Team Walk enables Lowell General to provide help in many forms. It funds innovative support programs for patients, their families and caregivers, financial assistance for medications, and transportation to and from the hospital. Team Walk dollars that also help provide workshops and classes to help people feel better, build confidence, and instill hope throughout their battle with cancer. The walk will start and finish at the Songus Arena in historic downtown Lowell. There is ample parking within walking distance and a beautiful garden tennis that overlooks the Merrimack River for our pre- and post-walk celebrations. Please join us for this Sunday, May 17th, for our 10th anniversary Team Walk for Cancer Care. And for further information, if anybody would like to contact our Team Walk hotline, the phone number is 978-937-6434. And I want to thank you all for your support. It means so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The minutes have been accepted, placed on file. Communications from Manager Lynch. Any councilors who would like to address any of those? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager, a couple of things, if I could. There's a memo here from the manager actually transmitting a quarterly financial review from Mr. Moses. And if I could just ask a question regarding expenditures through the third quarter, where we talk about 75% of the expenditures are comfortably under control. With the numbers that you've noted in this report, have we taken into account the 3 days of furlough, if you will, on the salary side? Are those numbers actually in the expenditure side at this point?
Those figures actually are all the transfers that were made into the manager's contingency put the money there. And so if you were looking for a status as to have we saved that money, you would look at the unexpended funds in the managers.
Okay, thank you.
Council Martin?
Yeah, on that same report, there's a section about the water department, and it says that water revenues are off $1 million, $700,000 to $1 million less than anticipated. Do we have a explanation for that?
Yeah, the water department was a newly created enterprise fund on July 1st. So everything that was billed in prior years was a receivable of the general fund. And as we took money in, that money is credited as general fund receipts. So on July 2nd, when the new enterprise fund has started collecting money, they don't get credit for that. So that's the reason. We will make the enterprise fund whole by transferring some of the revenue in the general fund into the new enterprise fund as we get closer to the end of the year.
All right, so it's really just an accounting entry. It's going in the general fund as opposed to the enterprise fund, but the revenue estimates are accurate.
Yes, and the rate is set properly.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Council Rita Mission?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 weeks ago, I made a motion, and it was in regards to naming the skateboard park at Hadley Park in memory of John Michael Delahanty, and it was referred to the Board of Parks, and the Board of Parks met on Wednesday, April 29th, at their regular monthly meeting, and they unanimously supported the naming of Hadley, the skateboard park at Hadley Park, in honor of John Michael Delahanty. So there will be, I want to thank the Board of Parks for that. There will be a formal dedication on Saturday, May 16th. I think you have information in your packet about that at 10 o'clock at Hadley Park. So I want to publicly thank the Board of Parks for supporting that. Thank you.
Council Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I go back to that financial report? Can you discuss in a little bit more detail the Arena Enterprise Fund? It indicates that we're building a larger deficit than we have in the past. What does that mean?
We made some changes to the agreement this year that certain concession revenue is coming to the city on a monthly basis. So we're actually ahead of schedule on those revenues. However, that used to be a pass-through through the SMG account. They actually got the revenue, held onto it, and gave it to us at the end of the year. All I'm saying is, because we're getting this monthly, we're not going to get it at the end of the year. So we won't see that slug of cash at the end of the year.
What do we anticipate for a deficit this year?
It's hard to say. The budgeted deficit was $1.2 million, $1.3 million. We'll be fairly close to that. The trouble with predicting this is all the revenue from SMG comes in June. So
do we have any idea where they are at? I mean, we want to be waiting in June to see that we have, whatever the gap is in addition to the deficit. So are they giving us updates, the treasurer, the auditor? I guess my concern, naturally, we're in a tight year. I'm looking at these funds. I'm looking at the parking fund. We're looking at the workers' claim deficit. At the end of the year, we have to make that up somewhere, and you've already made some significant cuts. So
the parking will make its way through. That will cover itself. The other the workers' compensation account.
Are those big claims? I mean, I know we budgeted a substantial amount in the budget. It's not as if we underfunded it, right?
It's not like we have $500,000 claim. There are many small claims in there. we're identifying unspent funds, expenditures that will transfer in to cover those before the end of the year, so they won't be in a deficit at the end of the year.
And the arena will be is projected right now to be, as Mr. Moses said, probably around that 1.2, 1.3. They're tracking pretty well to their anticipation of revenue and expenditures. We should, with the next report from them, we should get a better handle on that. That, of course, includes the debt service costs that we have on that. So we've pretty much factored that in. Along the lines of the arena, I know that this is probably a question that's coming, and I was planning on getting you a report on this at the next meeting. The Chancellor and I met last week with Senator Panagiotakis, and we basically come to an agreement on what the deal would look like. It's essentially what I provided to you about a month and a half ago. The only outstanding question right now with regards to the arena, with a transfer, the Chancellor is working, he's pretty much made his acceptance of the deal, based upon his ability to get the necessary money from the state to do the capital improvements that he wants to do there. So the ball is really in his court right now as he works through that process, and the senator is working out is prepared to work out the language for the transfer. That would have to go through the legislature. Obviously, there will be a necessary vote of the council, but that can't take place until the Chancellor is confident of the $5 million or so thereabouts that he needs for the capital improvements.
Okay. And just one last question on the finances. What do we anticipate? Are we looking at a free cash deficit, or are we looking at...
No, actually, I think we'll probably,
zero?
and I'll let Mr. Moses and Ms. Wright weigh in, but I think we're probably looking at it's so early now, we still have a couple more months to go in the fiscal year, but I wouldn't say we're looking at a deficit. Maybe they want to disagree with me on that. But I would say we're looking at we ended last year with a $30,000 in positive free cash, which obviously is not an awe-inspiring number, but given the fact that, 2-3 years ago we were $2.5+ million in the negative, we've made substantial progress, and that's, of course, Moody's and Standard & Poor's and Department of Revenue have all noted that we've made
what
tremendous
people at home should know is that in the past we would raise the snow and ice deficit on the recap sheet,
That's
and
right.
we've been covering that. So, I mean, we could say, we don't want to play a shell game, but we could say that if we didn't cover that and we put it on the tax rate, then there'd be a free cash surplus, but we didn't, and I think that was the right thing to do.
Right. Actually, the last couple of years, we've been doing the snow and ice without, a small amount may have hit the recap sheet, but generally we've been able to close out accounts and fund that. And you're right, we would have been able to generate more free cash, but we covered our the snow and ice as we went.
And snow and ice won't be able to be covered this year by...
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Council Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. My question was, how are we making out with the university, with the arena, and the manager has answered my question, but what time frame, do we have any idea how long this is going to take?
Again, this is something that, the state right now is in a situation where they're, trying to analyze their willingness to take on capital projects, and this has been talked about with administration and finance going back into the fall. September, October, there were discussions at that time with the Secretary of A&F and the Jay Gonzalez from the governor's office, and it's still very much up in the air, but we're hopeful that something will come in the next month to 6 weeks.
So basically, it's under agreement between you and the chancellor.
Right.
It has to get the approval from the state, is that correct?
They need to get the approval from the state, they need to get we need to get the approval of the state, the council has to weigh in, the arena commission has to weigh in, but it's all, right now, the big question mark is that capital money.
Okay.
And again, that's been something that's been out there as a question. The state is watching that very carefully, and they've been waiting to see how their top priority right now has been making it through fiscal year 09 and getting the fiscal year 10 budget done, and that will then allow them some ability to determine how much capital money they can put into the project.
We can get a report on this for next meeting.
I hope to have more information. I was planning on giving you this report at the next meeting, so, but hopefully I'll have more information at that time.
Good.
Council Rita Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll try to make this brief through you to the city manager. I hope that when we get our budget, the pages will be numbered. I know it's
They
not a
will.
big deal, but it's a big deal to me, especially when I thought of it, when I want to refer this thing to a particular page, and this isn't even numbered. So I wish that you would just turn to the second to the last page, where it talks about the general fund expenditures for the third quarter. It's second to the last page, which makes it rather easy to say it that way. When we see the expenses, what was actual and what is budgeted and what was spent, and we come down to your line item, which is the third, and it says that you've only spent 21% of your expenses, how do you figure that? And we're almost...
That's where the $3 million is sitting.
That's where it's sitting.
We transferred all of the money that when we took money back from the various accounts, in order to have the money there to close up the gap with the 9C cuts that the governor made back in January.
Yes.
Was $3.1 million. The $600,000 we took from the schools, all of the money that we saved in various accounts on salaries by not filling positions, by freezing expenses, and then by the furloughs. We transferred all that money out of those accounts so that the departments could not spend that money, and we put it into the manager's contingency where it sits.
And so where's that going to go now?
That will then fall to the bottom line, and so that we'll have a balanced budget at the end of the year.
So then let me take you down to the assessors where it says that they've only spent 18%. Did you take some of their money as well?
Yeah, well, that's for the revaluation.
Unfortunately, we can't. They make big payments to the firm that contracts for the revaluation each year, and they haven't made that payment yet, but they will.
Oh, so that's where that is. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Anyone else? Council Elliott?
I just wanted, we received the memo from you, Mr. Manager, and Mr. McCarthy regarding the recycling program or the new solid waste
Yes.
program, and I just thought it was important to recognize and probably congratulate the people of the city for making it work. And in the last 2 months, I don't know if you want to give the report, Mr. Manager, but we're really doing very well under this program. In the last 2 months, we've reduced trash by 1,900 tons, which the rate that it costs us to dispose of trash is $71.50 per ton, saving us $136,000 in just the last 2 months. I think that's incredible. I think that's not only the system working, but people are really working to recycle and reduce that solid waste. I just had one question. Do we know what that recycling rate might be, or do we have to wait a little bit longer?
I believe the numbers that Mr. McCarthy gave me indicate that we've jumped up into the mid to high teens.
Teens.
Right.
We were at 7%?
We were at about 7 or 8%
Okay.
before. So we're making tremendous progress there as well. Yeah, the people have, as I think we've already talked about at council meetings in the past, people seem to be taking to it very well. There was obviously concerns that, a program like this would be difficult to roll out, but people, I think a lot of people did great work. Certainly, TJ and Gunther did a tremendous job in implementing the plan that we developed to roll the system out. The people of the city have really taken it to heart. I mean, we still can't keep recycling bins in stock. They're coming in, they're getting those, they're getting the stickers, they're really, they're participating in it. And, we've seen a tremendous drop-off in the amount of trash that goes out. And people really seem to like, I know again, my travels around the city, talking to people, particularly at the neighborhood organizations I've met with, people like the trash program simply because of the orderly nature of the trash bins being put out. I did have one gentleman call me today, and I know he's spoken to a couple of councilors about wanting his trash bin put back in exactly the same spot. The truck, apparently, the arm hasn't put it back in exactly the same spot that he wants it. So we're working on that. But generally speaking, people are very, very pleased with the with the orderly nature. They're pleased that their trash bins aren't thrown around. They're pleased with their ability to make it work, and we're seeing the results here in the savings that we so desperately need. And we anticipated some of that when we did the program. That was the purpose for doing the program. But I think we're doing better than we had originally intended. The other point that's in that memo that I would like to just reference, I think it's certainly good news for us, is the renegotiated contract that I've done with Wheelabrator for those listening or watching on TV, is the facility where we bring our trash and have it incinerated. And we had an agreement in place that next year we were going to be paying $73 a ton. And I renegotiated that contract and extended it out and brought the per ton price down to $64 a ton starting on July 1st. That alone is a savings to us of $300,000. So that's very good news. I know that a number of the communities around us joined together and negotiated a similar type of deal. They left Wheelabrator and have gone to another facility, but they won't see their savings kick in until fiscal year 2011. And obviously we were looking for savings right off the bat next year. We actually got that, and we got a little bit better pricing than if we had stuck with those other communities. So we need that money next year, and I think I was very pleased to be able to accomplish that.
And while the program is going very good, I know that Council Mercier, Rita Mercier, and myself have filed motions on those items that don't go in the barrels and can't fit in the barrels. Are we making any progress on that? And I know Council Mercier has a motion following up, because I am concerned the nice weather's here and people are abiding by it, and they're sort of just storing some of these things, and I just want to try to stay ahead of that, and maybe we can discuss it under Council Mercier's motion. But I'm hoping that we're making some progress in either a pickup or a place that people can drop their stuff off, or something to, from prevent any problems from taking place.
Right. Well, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee has been working with Gunther on that. They actually, after Councilor Mercier and Councilor, your motion, that was referred to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. That's a group of citizens that are working with Gunther, and I know that they were taking it up at their next meeting, and they hope to have a plan back to us soon. And I think the idea there is to develop a plan that's workable. Again, that we don't want to cut into the savings that we're making. That I certainly assume that would be the intention that we'd be looking for. But I hope to have something for the council on that at the next meeting. And if there are additional costs, then we'll include that as an alternate within the budget when we deliver that to you in late May, early June.
Okay, just one last question. We must be collecting additional revenue. In the past, we were just collecting, the white goods for nothing, and we're charging now. Is there additional revenue factored into this from collecting those washers and dryers?
Those revenues go directly to Allied. They charge us for those white goods. They always did. That was an add-on. Now they bill directly for white goods. And so there's savings to us in terms of how much that we're being billed for those.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Lindsay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Those recycling figures certainly are encouraging, and I think the entire community should take credit for what's going on and keep the momentum. The contract with Wheelabrator it was renegotiated for how long? Or
it's for 5 years.
5 years.
Right.
And can you get out of that at any time, or use other companies as leverage, or?
Once you're into that, you're into that.
So that's a 5-year contract.
Right. But we did make some language changes too. We had a language before that I believe had us with tonnage in the 44,000 tons per year, 44 to 50,000 tons per year. We've renegotiated that down to 35 to 40,000 tons a year. So under the put or pay provision, we would have been responsible for a higher amount of tonnage than we would have actually been generating. By rolling it back, we see savings there as well. So it's a much better contract for us.
Okay,
in that regard.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
And right now, the only other point I would add is right now the only facilities that are really available to us are the Covanta in Haverhill or Wheelabrator in North Andover. The Millbury plant is much too far. The state is talking about the possibility of some new facilities coming online, but those will take probably somewhere in the vicinity of 5 or so years before they come online.
Anyone else? I just have one comment, Mr. Manager. I noticed that Governor Patrick, the stimulus money, $35 million will be coming to Lowell for the waste treatment plant, CSO control and so forth. And that's the bond that I believe the council voted on. What's going to happen with that bond?
That actually isn't grant money, Mr. Mayor. That's money that's going through the state and through their loan program, which we anticipated when we actually passed the project. So it's in line with what we had anticipated. I'll get a full report on that for you for the next
I believe
meeting.
it was $35 million. Was it $35 million?
But it was in the form of a loan, not in the form of a grant.
I thought it was
Right.
stimulus money coming to Lowell.
Right, but I will, let me get more detail on that and give you a report on that.
Accept the communications and place them on file by Council Elliott, seconded by Council Lindsay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The communications are accepted, placed on file. We have to move into the public hearing. Public hearing, anyone who's coming to the podium, state your name and address, please. You have 5 minutes or less to address the issue. This is the order to vacate, discontinue, and abandon certain public interest rights and easements in a portion of Standish Street in the city of Lowell. Those wishing to come forward and speak in favor, please come forward. State your name and address, please.
Mayor Caulfield, members of the council, my name is Tom Costello. I'm responsible for the facilities at the university, and I'm coordinating the project that's associated with this request. I also have with us Francis Gershwin, who is the attorney for the UMass Building Authority, which is the agency of the university that is responsible for the construction of this emerging technologies building, and Chris Lovett, Oak Engineering, who is a civil engineer who has been working with the city offices with Adam and Barton, the city engineer. Frankly, I'd like to tell you we're very grateful for their help. They've been terrific. So the purpose of the request is associated with the university's intention to build an emerging technologies building, which is initially going to be focused on nano manufacturing. I'm sure you've seen something about it. The location of the building will be between University Ave and Plymouth Street. At that corner on the VFW highway is currently a dormitory called Smith Hall. Our plan is to take Smith Hall down this summer, on or about mid to late summer. The building would spread across what is now Standish Street, a property that's currently listed at 92 Colonial Ave, which the university, by the Building Authority, acquired earlier this year. The building is roughly, well, it's moving down. It was about 97,000 square feet. We are going to make it a smaller building, and it reflects some of what you've been talking about, the issue of finances, the cost of money both to us and to the Commonwealth. So we're still in the process of trying to figure out what we take out of the program, and then we'll hope to move to a schematic design. If things move well and quickly, we would hope to have a foundation coming out of the ground by late this fall. It's a pretty optimistic and aggressive schedule. We'd be happy to speak. I should say, on Standish Street, the portion of Standish Street we're asking the city to vacate is the portion between the VFW highway and the end of the university parking lot, surface lot on Standish Street. There is only one other abutter whose access to the house is off of Plymouth. They have a yard that comes back onto Standish, and then there's an on-grade lot that the university owns, and we use that for parking at the moment. So the request is to stop at the property line for the one abutter, so that the only property on both sides of the street that we're asking for are university properties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
We're happy to answer any questions if you'd like.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? State your name and address, please.
My name is Chris Lovett with VHB. I'm the engineer working with the University of Lowell and the Building Authority. We do have a couple of boards here, if the council would like to see them, that give a little better description of the land, the piece of Standard Street that we want to discontinue, as well as a concept plan of the building.
What's the wish of the council? Would you like to see the displays? Okay. Very familiar with the project.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering, are you taking parking spaces away?
I don't think we can get into any question period after the public hearing is closed. I think then the council could. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Fran Gershwin. I represent the UMass Building Authority. I just wanted to bring up one or two more facts. We did give notice to the one individual abutter, private abutter, other than the authority or the university, and that the owner of the property is out of state. Tom Costello from the university did give notice, however, but the letter was returned unopened, so we did give him an opportunity. Okay. And finally, in terms of the proposed order that we've seen, it includes some conditions that have been imposed to have us work with the various utility departments for the city, which is, of course, we would be doing anyway, and also to work with the city in its efforts with respect to the University Avenue Bridge and any easements that might be necessary in connection with that. Okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Those wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? There is no opposition. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Armitage, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any questions?
I just wanted to know, are you taking parking spaces away?
We don't have the design completed, but in all likelihood, we will be. The building is wider than, well, it's wider than the Colonial Ave house, which has a driveway adjacent to our lot. So I think the answer is yes, we will be taking parking, but we don't know how many.
And are you taking a dormitory down, did you say?
That's correct.
And how many students?
110 beds currently.
110 beds?
And we're as we speak, renovating for floors 4, 5, and 6 of Fox Hall that have been club and meeting space. And that will deliver 119 beds for September.
So you're
so
transferring
it's basically
them somewhere
a wash.
else?
Right.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Martin?
If you could just, and maybe it would be helpful to see the boards you brought, but just describe how this one abutter is impacted by this.
Sure.
I don't know where the best place to stand so everyone can see this is, but this plan is generally in a north-south direction. This is Colonial Avenue. The Merrimack River is down here. Riverside Street is at the top. The orange delineates the area that we wish to discontinue, that we're requesting discontinuance for. The yellow piece here, that's the one public abutter. They would maintain, their access right now is from Plymouth Street, but we would not be seeking to discontinue that portion of Standish Street that they abut. So they would continue to have access from Plymouth and Standish Street.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I am not going to ask for a roll call on this issue. It's going to go back to the city clerk for 2 weeks, and then we'll come back for another vote. Any problems, any questions, any debate? Thank you very much. Moving on with the agenda, everyone has received a communication from the planning board with recommendations regarding zoning at 1820 Weber Street with an ordinance. Accept the communication, place it on file by Councilor Kazanjian, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All in favor of accepting the communication, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The communications are accepted, placed on file. And this will be referred to an ordinance for a public hearing on June 9th by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. This will be going to a public hearing on June 9th. Ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, dangerous weapons. Second reading by title, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 222, thereof entitled Peace and Good Order. And this is going to a public hearing on May 26th, as long as the council permits. Move to send this to a public hearing, May 26th, by Councilor Lindsay, seconded by Councilor Broderick. We have a request for communication for out-of-state travel. I believe that there's 4 employees will be traveling out of state, and those 4 employees will be funded throughout the budget. Any questions, any debate on this issue? If none, roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Conservation Commission, dear Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 8C, it is with pleasure that I am appointing Nathan Moore of 68 Canton Street, Lowell, Mass., to the Conservation Commission to fill the unexpired term of Joy Omish, expiring March 16, 2010, or such time thereafter until a successor is appointed. Approval by the council is not necessary, except the communication and place it on file by Councilor Kazandria, seconded by Councilor Ahmed Mercia. Moving on with the agenda, order of taking of land, acceptance of various streets, to take by eminent domain and fee a certain parcel of land in the city of Lowell for municipal purposes, to wit, the layout and acceptance of the following named streets and other municipal purposes associated therewith. Bluebird Terrace, Nightingale Terrace. Be it ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Move to waive the full reading by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Elliott. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Full reading has been waived. Second reading by title, to take by eminent domain and fee a certain parcel of land in the City of Lowell for municipal purposes, to wit, the layout and acceptance of the following named streets and other municipal purposes associated therewith. Bluebird Terrace, Nightingale Terrace. Any discussion? Councilor Rita Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Some time ago, I asked if we could accept Nightingale Terrace, and I asked if the city engineers could at least do 2 to some degree, and this is just what I'm asking you for, and you are complying, and I know that I'll be the first to jump down your throat, and I'll be the first to thank you for putting things in order, because I think this is very important. We have a lot of streets in the city that are not accepted. This is a start. This is a good thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
This will be going to a public hearing June 9th with approval of Councilor Milonazo. Move to send it to a public hearing June 9th, seconded by Councilor Martin. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? It's headed for a public hearing. Mr. Manager?
Just thank you, Councilor Mercia, for your kind comments and your warning that you will be jumping down my throat at some point in time. I just got a report today from the city engineer on this very issue of the street acceptance that we need to do. I think there's over 400 streets in the city, and of course, this is something that she's, as you know, we have a problem here, and she's been working on over the winter months and since she came on as city engineer. So we hope to have a couple of these every 2 or so meetings to really whittle this number down.
And I just asked if you would start, and you did.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm not jumping down your throat
No, I know.
anytime soon, but I want to
We
thank
just
you.
recorded that in a minute. So. All right, moving on with the agenda. Authorizing the city manager to execute license agreement between the City of Lowell and Cherry E. Victoria Time Out Cafe and Eatery for use of a portion of city property adjacent to the premises at 72 Merrimack Street, Lowell, Mass. For the purpose of sidewalk seating. Whereas Cherry E. Victoria Time Out Cafe and Eatery desires to use a portion of the city property adjacent to the premises at 72 Merrimack Street, Lowell, Mass. For the purpose of sidewalk seating. Move for the way the full reading by Council Ahmed Mercia, second by Council Martin. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The full reading has been waived. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager to execute license agreement between the City of Lowell and Cherry E. Victoria Time Out Cafe and Eatery for use of a portion of the city property adjacent to the premises at 72 Merrimack Street, Lowell, for the purpose of sidewalk seating. What's the wish of the council? Any debate, any questions?
Move approval.
Move approval by Council Rita Mercia, second by Council Ahmed Mercia. Roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the total amount of $13 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development Growth District Initiative Program. Whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has made available grant funds for municipalities that have identified one or more areas in their communities as being appropriate locations for significant new growth. Whereas the Hamilton Canal District and the City of Lowell, located within the JAM Urban Renewal Plan area, is the city's designated growth district and is eligible for funding through the Growth District Initiative Program. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to apply for, accept, and expend funds from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development Growth District Initiative Program. Now therefore, be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell that the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development be and is hereby authorized in the name of the City of Lowell to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the amount of $13 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development Growth District Initiative Program. Be it further voted that the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell be and hereby is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary in connection with said grant from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development District Initiative Program. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the total amount of $13 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and the Economic Development Growth District Initiative Program. Any questions? Councilor Milonazo.
I actually don't have a question, Mr. Mayor, but I have a comment. I'd like to congratulate this council as well as the administration for putting the city in a position where, as the Secretary of Housing and Economic Development said, Bilecki, I believe is you pronounce his name, is that the Hamilton Canal project is ready to go, and we should be in a very good position, both for FY10 and FY11, to actually get these funds. So, again, congratulations to the council and to the administration.
Councilor
Martin. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think what this is a $3 million commitment for the next fiscal year and $10 million for the following, for infrastructure improvements to the Hamilton Canal District. And as much as I think the city deserves a lot of credit for this, I think, too, it demonstrates the faith that the state still has in the city of Lowell. We're going to face a very difficult budget time in the next few months, but we can't neglect the future, and this project is clearly an investment in the future. I think the Patrick administration, Lieutenant Governor Murray, our state delegation, Senator Pangiatakis, Representative Murphy, Representative Golden, and Representative Nangle have all worked together with the city to make this one of the showcase projects in the state. This is federal stimulus money being channeled through the state to Lowell for a major future investment. So, and Councilor Milonazo's right. If the city wasn't up to the task of spending this wisely, or being ready to have this, have the design work and all that's necessary ready to go, we wouldn't get this funding. So I want to thank the state, our local leaders, as well as the state leaders for their confidence in the city, and also agree with Councilor Milonazo's comments. I think Assistant City Manager Bakey deserves a lot of credit for this. City Manager Lynch for sticking with the DPD throughout this process. I know it's certainly far from done, but it's good news, and I think we continue to get good news about this project, and I do think it's a moment to celebrate, and we're not going to have too many of those in the short term anyway.
Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to reiterate those same sentiments, and I think it's important that, it wasn't too long ago we were talking about the second Great Depression, yet we continued to move forward on this project, and it's kind of exciting as it goes forward and the closer it gets. I just had one question where it states that it's a reimbursable grant. Does that imply that we expend the monies and then we file for reimbursement as we go forward?
That's exactly the way it would work.
So we get the projects done and then we file?
As we can process as we go along and utilize private money as well to get reimbursed on that, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just want to echo the feelings of my colleagues. I think there's two words in the dictionary: faith and confidence. And I think Beacon Hill, the Lowell delegation, has immense faith and confidence in the city and in this administration, but administrations of the past. We do produce. We spend the money wisely. It creates economic growth. It creates revenue. It creates a better quality of life for people. And my colleagues who have spoken earlier, that's exactly what they have said. And without faith and confidence in a community, we wouldn't be getting this large sum of money. And we get it constantly, whether it's the construction of new schools, or the Lasher Ballpark, or the renovation of our parks and playgrounds, Pollard Memorial Library. You can go on and on and on. And I must say, they have immense faith and confidence in the Department of Planning and Development under the direction of Adam Bankey. Adam, you're doing a tremendous job for the city of Lowell, and I think everyone recognizes it. So thank you very, very much. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real briefly, if we could, it's reimbursable, but under the agreement, does Trinity have the obligation to pay it? How is this we're not going to be spending money out of the general fund, are we, or how does that all work?
I'm going to ask Mr. Bankey to describe the process that we'd be utilizing.
The funds can be spent one of two ways. The city can spend them directly on contracts, or the city can sort of sub-grant them to Trinity Financial to expend as part of the development. In some cases, depending on what's actually getting done with the money, both options will be utilized. And in each case, we would turn in invoices, our paid invoices, to the state. The state would reimburse us for our expenses in either scenario. And they would do that along the way. We don't have to spend $13 million up front of city's money and wait until 2 years from now to get reimbursed. We'd be reimbursed on a monthly basis for the expenditures of that month.
Okay, thank you. And again, I want to congratulate everybody involved, the delegation, everybody at the State House, the administration, and Mr. Backey as well, and the council. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
If I could just add on to, just for those watching at home, and just a clarification in terms of the reimbursement, I guess the best example really that we can point to is the Morey School, where we basically submit as we go along, and we it just takes a short amount of money, and then we get that reimbursed, and then we just roll it through. So.
Any other questions? Councilor Kazanjian.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I also want to thank the delegation. I think they did a great job, and without them there, it would be very hard for us to get this type of money. So I just want to know how are we going to be spending this money, Mr. Manager? Is it money we're going to be loaning to Trinity, or is this going to go for infrastructure work? Is it infrastructure work?
Most of the money here is for infrastructure. A small amount will be used to shore up the Appleton Mill building, and that regard will be a loan to Trinity as part of their.
We'll get reimbursed from Trinity.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right, but most of the money is going for the infrastructure of the project.
All right.
Any questions? Any other? Roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armand Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days, whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: effective immediately for a period of 60 days thereafter, the following temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. Section 266-55, parking for handicapped person, is hereby amended by adding the following: Chapel Street, 44, easterly side, beginning at a point 94 feet northerly from the northern curb line of Central Street, running northerly a distance of 20 feet along Chapel Street. Crawford Street, northerly side beginning at a point 110 feet easterly from the eastern curb line of White Street, running easterly a distance of 20 feet along Crawford Street. Reed Street, westerly side beginning at a point of 35 feet northerly from the northern curb line of 2nd Street, running northerly a distance of 20 feet along Reed Street. Section 266-44, one-way streets designated is hereby amended by adding the following: Perkins Street from Suffolk Street westerly to Cabot Street, Suffolk Street from Hall Street northerly to Perkins Street. Second reading by title pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations, are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Any questions, debate? If none, roll call.
Councilor Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Order to transfer funds from the Parking Enterprise Fund ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the amount of $1,367,786 be transferred from Special Revenue Parking Fund to establish the beginning balance in the Parking Enterprise Fund as set forth in Attachment A. Second reading by title. Vote. Order to transfer funds for the Parking Enterprise Fund. Any questions for this transfer? Councilor Lindsay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just regarding the enterprise fund, this is a new enterprise fund. Is there a breakdown of each garage or each source of revenue underneath the enterprise fund, subcategories, or?
I can give you that by garage, as well as all the meter receipts, the parking fines. That's all accounted for separately.
Mm-hmm. So we could get an itemization of all of those revenues.
The budget is actually in your budget package. If you look at the revenues, it's broken out by source. And I can report the actuals if you'd like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that, just to weigh them.
Councilor Martin.
If we get that, we do the expenses too? It wouldn't just be the revenues, right? Are the expenses?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Councilor Elliott.
So we're just transferring this out of the general fund, correct? Is the enterprise, is the parking fund running a deficit now?
The $1.4 million accumulated over several years in a special revenue fund.
Right.
We're transferring it from the special revenue fund into the newly created parking fund. It is, in fact, the opening balance as of July 1st, 2008. Of course, when we voted, we took that vote to create it. We hadn't ended the year yet, so we didn't know what balance was available to transfer.
Okay. What balance was available?
$1.4 million.
1.4. So, follow up to the other questions. Where will this bring the fund now?
You're speaking to the parking enterprise for this fiscal year?
Correct.
Okay. This will establish the opening balance at approximately $1.4 million. The budget had a built-in structural deficit of a little over $700,000. So if we had met budget throughout the end of the year till June 30th, we'll have approximately $700,000 balance. We're actually doing a little better than that, so we'll probably have a little more.
So going forward, this fund's going to carry a deficit. I mean, we're going to have a surplus from these excess accounts, but moving forward, there's still a big problem because of the garage, the new garage.
Right, we've eaten into the balance that we had from the special revenue starting balance by about $700,000, and over time, yes, there is a problem there that needs to be addressed, and we'll have we intend to have a report to the council on that coming up. And I think, obviously, I wasn't here when the vote was made regarding the the construction of or moving forward with the early garage. But it's my understanding that it was, certainly known at the time that was going to be an issue that would need to be addressed at some point, that rates would have to be adjusted or something would have to be changed in order to cover those costs. But yes, there is an issue there. But as time goes on and, more usage occurs at that garage, we will eat into that as well.
Well, I agree. I didn't vote for it because I knew that this time would come. I mean, if we didn't have this transfer, we're going to carry a $700,000 deficit this year alone, in addition to next. So, what is the plan to go forward? I mean, that garage is carrying. What is the monthly deficit? Is it?
Do you know what debt service is on that garage? We'll have to get that for you, Councilor.
Okay.
Right. But no, I think that you're right. I think, again, it's, and I understand you didn't vote for that garage. I think that if we didn't have this money, of course we knew we had this money when we knew we'd have something. We just didn't know what exactly would be there at the end of June because we hadn't closed out the year. It is known that I think we certainly knew that fiscal years, 08, 09, 10, as that debt was coming on, that we'd start to run into a problem. And, we project out, looking out into fiscal years 11, 12, so on, as we pay off that debt, we are going to have the debt service that we have to deal with. At the same time, we are going to have increased utilization. And I do think that, we just voted this $13 million for the Hamilton Canal project moving forward. I think that, it's unlikely that we'd be able to move forward with the Hamilton Canal project. It would be unlikely we'd be able to move forward with the Judicial Center that's moving forward, or for that matter, the Bank of America project that's coming in right across the street from the garage, unless that garage were there. I understand the fiscal issues. But from a development standpoint, I think that it was the right decision to move forward. But I think we need to show in the presentation we will be making to the council, either the next meeting or the meeting after, that we have a handle on where we are heading and how we're going to pay off that debt. And we'll have to do something with rates at some point in the future. But at this point in time, we're not prepared to make that presentation, the exact presentation, to the council.
Okay, no, I understand, and we don't have to have a long debate about the merit of the garage. I did vote for it initially. It was the additional money after, which just could not be covered. I guess one question would be: are we any further with leasing the space that'll bring in additional revenue to cover some of the monthly deficit in that garage? Because essentially all the other garages are generating revenue, or generating a surplus, may I say, that's covering this deficit. It's still not enough. But are we any further with filling up the bottom space, retail space, whether it's the police training center, or can you update us on that?
Sure. The other garages are obviously helping to pay for this garage, which is the ways these things often work, because the debt service on those is relatively minor, if at all, because in large part they were paid in a different way. The rental space down below, we have the Garcia Brogan's. That restaurant is under construction and is expected to open in the next couple of months. The dentist that we've leased out to has actually increased the amount of space that they want. They've added on 300 square feet. Then we have the police training center that we are intending to move in there. That's taking up a good chunk of space. That will leave us really with one or two remaining spaces, and we still have some people that are interested in those spaces as well. So nothing's signed yet, but we do have money that will be coming in for those. And we have seen an uptick in the amount of usage. Again, I think that another aspect of this that obviously no one planned on is if the university moves forward to purchase the hotel, that's going to put a pressure on the Lower Locks garage. And we have a number of Middlesex Community College students that use the Lower Locks garage that may not be able to use that now, and they will be shifted over to the early garage. So again, we'll see an increased utilization there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Council Rita Mercier, Council Milanazzo, Council Kazanjian. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very proud of the fact that I voted for the garage. I'm going to tell you, I'm extremely happy. Are we making money on it right now? No, and I didn't think we would. But if we stop and think about, gee whiz, we're going to have a judicial center, and it may be built, let's say, tomorrow, and we're going to now, 3 years later down the road, figure out, oh, gee, we're going to have to put a garage there. Just think of how much it's going to cost us in 3 years from now to build that garage as compared to what it cost us before. And was it a lot of money? You bet. But triple it then down the road and see how much that's going to be. So yes, I made an investment, and we're in the hole right now, but it's going to pay for itself in the long run. I know that when I first bought a house many, many years ago, I think we ate out of cans for I don't know how many months because, my God, we just couldn't make ends meet, but we made an investment. And all the way down the road when we sold that house, yeah, I was glad we ate out of cans for 6 months. At the time, I wasn't too happy, but it was an investment, and I look upon this garage as that investment. It's not investing us money right now, but down the road it will, and I'll be darn proud that, yes, I did vote for it.
Councilor Milanese?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to state that I'm proud of the vote that I took on that garage as well, and I really do believe, as the manager said, that it was a stimulus for the trial court, for the work that's being done by the bank, the American Bank of America along Jackson Street. So again, if you look at it as a stimulus, really, someone had to really take a leap of faith, and I'm glad that I was part of that vote. But my question having to do with the transfer is, I guess, why now, with 10 and a half months into the fiscal year, why hadn't this transfer been brought in earlier, even if it was a different number, to establish the initial deposit?
We could have brought it in earlier. It was one of those items that wasn't a high priority. We had to do at some point during the fiscal year. But as we began to put the budgets together for 2010 and could see the cash flow in the parking operations, it once again rung that bell and said, okay, we have to establish the opening balance too.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering if we can get a profit and loss statement on each individual garage to find out which one's making money, which one's losing money, and this way here, we'll find out which ones are losing and see what we can do to improve them.
That information, while we do segregate all the revenues, we don't create separate expense accounts for each garage. And I would say for the majority of those expenses, it would be maybe scientific but arbitrary. We have a single contract for operations with Central Parking to staff those. We'd have to allocate those based on...
You could basically, if it's five garages, basically just, subdivide 5 into whatever the number is. I mean, so I just give us a ballpark on it.
I'm not sure you could do it divided by 5. You might
whatever
have
the
to
case
do
may
it
be,
based on parking spaces, but it's something that we don't do on an ongoing basis. We'd have to create that from scratch.
So do we know which garages are making money? So we have no idea which ones are and which ones aren't then.
Pretty much all of them are making money with the exception of the early garage because there's no debt left on any of the, and any revenue that you make on the other garages is certainly covering the costs of those because in fact the revenue that we're making is actually going into the to help pay for the early garage right now. Some do better than others in terms of the Lower Locks does well, but it closes up but many times because the Middlesex Community College students are there. The John Street Garage does well. Probably does not fill up as readily as the Lower Locks. But we can probably play around and allocate, but it won't be a scientific allocation.
Yeah, but if we know we know some garages are making money, how do we know how much the early garage is losing? We have pretty much no idea. everything's just pooled into one fund, and nothing's broken down.
It's really just the debt that's costing us there. I mean, we can certainly
so-
try to
so-
do that. I'm not quite, I guess and I'd be more than happy to do it, but maybe it would be helpful so that we make sure that you have the information you're looking for to understand why it matters, which one is making money, which ones are losing money.
Well, but just see if we can improve on a certain garage. Well, what can we do in this certain garage to make it better and improve, get some more revenue coming out of it? That's basically what I'd like to do. I mean,
Right.
so we really don't know. You got a number coming out that we're losing from the early garage, but we have no idea what that number is, because we're just pooling money into one fund, and okay, we have a deficit of, let's say, $500,000, so we just assume it's losing $500,000, but it could be losing more than that.
Councilor Martin?
Well, I mean, that's what I was kind of driving at that when I asked for the expenses. I mean, if they can't, be allocated precisely per garage, I mean, I think we're smart enough to figure it out. I mean, we don't need something that's going to withstand an audit. We want to just know what the revenues are, and if those are segregated, that's fine. If the expenses aren't segregated, that's okay too. I think we all know how to divide by 5. Or whatever the number is, if, and you can tell us, maybe one garage has less staffing than another, maybe they're all the same, I don't know, but I think that's what we're trying to get at.
We can certainly create something.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want a tome from the beginning of time, a simple snapshot of where we are with the garages, I think is all we're trying to see.
Right, and we can certainly do that. As I said, it's just to get a better handle on exactly what's being looked for. We can fine tune it to that, for that purpose.
Councilor Lindsay, then Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy that garage is there, and I know it's controversial, and I know there's some added fees, and we've been back and forth on this, but again, the manager referred to the subcommittee meeting with the university on the Doubletree Hotel, and that garage offers a solution. We just reeled off 3 or 4 other solutions that garage offers, and probably in 6 months there'll be 5 more solutions that garage will play a role in. So I think over time, yep, it's expensive right now, and the other garages are certainly going to subsidize it for a period of time, but going forward, it's going to allow us and the JAM plan to move forward, and it's going to offer solutions for some other situations that we don't probably even know about right now.
Councilor Elliott, and anyone else like to? Okay. Councilor Elliott?
Well, it is controversial because we're not just talking about a few dollars here. We're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars that it's costing us. And there's no easy solution. We can sit here and spin it and say, we have to make sacrifices. But the bottom line is the people at home are paying. It's the taxpayers that are footing this bill. And that's where it will be coming from. I understand you have some extra money, Mr. Manager, set aside to cover this deficit. But after next year, unless there's a vote to raise rates, and I remember very clearly nobody wanted to raise the rates back then, which is why we're going to be faced with this structural deficit. There's no way around it. And raising rates, in my opinion, to get people downtown to have them to pay more to park is not the way to do it, but there's no other solution. And that's why I voted for the additional bond. I voted for the first one because it was necessary, but we went for the additional money to put on the extra floors. So, I mean, we can sit here and try to spend it any way we want. The people at home have to pay for it, and that's what my concern is. It's not that I didn't think it was important, or that at some point in time, there's no easy solution to this. You're going to have to raise rates or just put it on the tax rate. So, I mean, I understand we'll shift some spaces and you're doing the best, but, I mean, let's face it and let's be honest. You're going to have to raise rates or it's going on the tax rate. And I will look forward to that report because I would like to know what the deficit is on a monthly basis at that garage.
Mr. Manager, let me get Councilor Broderick, and then I'll get back to you. Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I voted for it, and I think that it's a philosophy, I think, maybe economic philosophy, but I think it was an investment in the area, and I think it's already paid off. We voted to hopefully accept $13 million in funds, and I think we've seen some of the projections and numbers and increased revenue that the development down there is going to bring into the city. We're talking about $700 million for the Trinity project, if you will, another $200 million maybe for the Bank of America project. I mean, we're talking about significant cash and that's going to come back into our coffers in the revenue side. I don't think this should fall on the backs of the taxpayers. We're going to need to sharpen our pencils and lower the deficit somehow, and hopefully we might have to raise rates a little bit. I don't know what the numbers look like yet. Hopefully we get that from the administration, but I don't think it's fair to say it's going to fall on the backs of the taxpayers. You know, this was done with a plan. It's, you know, we're seeing the results of the plan, and I think that we should be proud of that. I understand it's bad economic times, and it puts a strain on people and on us to take votes that are going to increase revenues or increase any type of rates or taxes. But I think that we have to look at the bigger picture down the road, and now we're seeing that it's actually real. They're going to start the infrastructure, and we're going to start. This is going to happen. This isn't hopes and dreams and pie in the sky. This is real. And if we didn't have that there, we already have, I think, is it Bank of America, the project, they're looking to build a connecting tunnel. So as that project moves forward, we're going to see revenue at the garage, but we're also going to see revenue in the tax side, in the general fund. So I think that it's something we're going to have to, suck it up and do what we have to do to close the deficit over there, and obviously not run a continuous deficit year to year. But I think if we can schedule this out a few years, and hopefully we can get some numbers from you, Mr. Manager, or Mr. Moses, or Ms. Wright, in terms of what are the projections. How are we going to cover this other than just adding on to the rate? Is there a way to soften how we eat into this? What might be about $700,000 left. Surplus. How do we, soften how we eat into that, and come up with a 3 to 5 year plan or beyond? But I think that there's no question that investment is paid off. It already is, and I think it's going to continue, and it's going to allow us to do things and bring business and people in here with the courthouse and the development that's going to be coming. And I think that there's no question it was worth doing. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, you all set?
Yeah, just
Councilor
very quickly, we talk about all the assistance we're getting from the state. We talk about the delegation's effort on our behalf. We talk about the success of the JAM plan that's being projected across the state. This would not have happened without that investment in that garage. Pure and simple. I mean, we can debate how much it's going to cost, what do we have to do, but the fact is, the money that's come into this city for the JAM plan is attributed to the fact that we had faith and confidence and put that garage there. So I think it's a win situation with the city of Lowell. Someday, it'll make some money. Right now, it isn't, but that happens many, many times. When you think of all the money that the delegation brought forward for the JAM plan, and all the money that's coming into that area and the development, that would not have happened without the garage being built. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Before I ask for roll call, I just want to briefly add a few comments. Mr. Manager, you're all set? Okay. I'm going to paint a picture for you. And it's a picture that's 6 years old. Barney's Delicatessen and that entire area is destitute. I voted for that parking garage because it was the right thing to do. We have to have wisdom and vision for the future. And I think that's why the state has that faith and confidence, is because we're willing to step forward and make some bold moves. Now, the parking garage. Would the Lowell Community Health Center move on Jackson Street without the garage? No. The Rialto renovations that the state's going to contribute to help Middlesex Community College, where are they going to park? They're going to park at that early garage. The entire Hamilton Canal is relied on that parking garage. It was the anchor of it was the footing, it was the foundation of the Hamilton Canal. The courthouse, everything that's going to involve renovation and construction revolves around that garage. The vote was 5-4. We could have either had a surface parking lot for 300 cars or have a state-of-the-art parking facility. And Mr. Manager, I'm very confident the other 4 garages are subsidizing that garage. And in 1992, I served with the council, and there was one councilor who wanted to bring in a motion to shut down one of the garages because they were half full or half empty, no matter how you want to look at it. And it almost passed. We don't have enough room downtown right now for garages. So It's water over the dam. The vote was 5-4. The early garage is standing there, and it's going to serve the city for decades and decades to come. Roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Yes.
9 yes.
Authorizing the city manager acting through the historic board to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in a total amount of $26,500 from the Massachusetts Historical Commission FY09 Survey and Planning Grant Program for staff support for the historic board. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Bill Martin. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager acting through the historic board to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the amount of $26,500 from the Massachusetts Historical Commission Fiscal Year 9 Survey and Planning Grant Program for staff support for the historic board. Any questions, any debate? If none, roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Yes.
9 yes.
Vote authorizing the city manager into a license agreement with SAY to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 177 Merrimack Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, be it voted by the city council of the city of Lowell as follows. The city manager hereby authorized to enter a license agreement with SAY to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 177 Merrimack Street for an overhanging awning and sign to the extent of and more particularly described in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part of this license agreement. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Rita Mercia, seconded by Council Arman Mercia. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Full reading's been waived. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with SAY to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 177 Merrimack Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Any questions, any debate? If none, roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Yes.
9 yes.
Petitions. We have one poll location, National Grid, request poll location at Billings Street and Beacon Street. Referred to a public hearing on June 9th by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Lindsay. Next petition. Sorry.
Do we have subcommittee reports?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't think there was any.
I actually don't have a report, but I have a request, if I could, under
Sure,
subcommittee.
right ahead.
I've been getting some emails from some of the interested parties regarding the dog ordinance, so I'd just like to request that we have the Public Safety Subcommittee meet in the next couple of weeks to revisit that issue, invite Assistant City Solicitor David Fenton, as well as the dog officer. So, again, if it's all right with my colleagues who are on the Public Safety Subcommittee, to go back
Sure.
and revisit that ordinance.
I
So-
think it's a wise thing to do, too,
Okay.
Council. I'm sorry on the subcommittees. I was told there was no subcommittee reports. There isn't, right?
No, I just had that request.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, moving up with the petitions. Poll location, National Grid, poll location, Billings Street, Beacon Street, 19th Street, Jewett Street, Hilda Street, First Street, Akins Avenue, Essex Street. Public hearing, June 9th by Council Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Arman Mercia. Miscellaneous Portuguese American Civic League, 512 Central Street, request overhanging awning. Referred to the law department by Council Broderick, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Attorney Eric Schwarzenbank, I hope I pronounced that okay, representing Elder Services, Kathleen Coleman, 78 Perry Street, request city assent to motion to vacate tax lien judgment. I believe we have people here who want to speak on that.
We do, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and
welcome.
members of the City Council for allowing me to speak. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Attorney Eric Schutzbank. I represent Elder Services of Merrimack Valley. I've given a package to the city manager, to the mayor. I believe the clerk's office would have delivered copies of the package to all members of the council, and I also delivered a copy to the city, 2 copies to the city solicitor's office. The reason we're here is Elder Services, for those of you who don't know, are a state-designated agency to assist in cases of neglect, abuse, and financial exploitation. The situation with Ms. Coleman is such that she suffers from severe mental illness, and given that she's has been a 30-year resident of Lowell, and that this is a public hearing, I'm going to not go into detail on the issues of her mental illness. It is listed in the pleadings that you have before you from the court case that is ongoing for protective services for her. She was a single mother who raised 3 kids in the city of Lowell. She paid off her mortgage, managed to raise the kids into adulthood. Unfortunately, as a result of her mental illness, she didn't pay her taxes. She suffers from delusions that affect her judgment. Her attorney, Richard DeFelice, is here. He is court appointed. Her son-in-law, Bill Caputo, is here as Ken Caputo. I'm sorry, Ken, is here as well. I can tell you that as a result of the illness she battles, she has instructed her attorney not to address the council. If she were here, if she had read what I provided to the council, she would accuse myself, Elder Services, the council, the mayor, the city manager, the city solicitor's office of stealing her property that she owns. Unfortunately, she is not aware enough to realize that the city of Lowell already owns the property due to a tax lien taking. The proposal I have before you and before the council asks for the council to do 8 things. Would the council like me to go over those 8 things, or is the packet enough? I appreciate that. I'd ask the council to grant the petition.
I think, Attorney, that the proper way to handle this is through the law department.
Right.
And we're very sympathetic with the issue, but I think Solicitor Christine O'Connor could certainly...
I think it should be referred to.
Could I?
Your Honor, I was advised by the city council, by the solicitor's office, that I have to present this petition to the council, who will then refer it back to the city solicitor's office.
Council Martin?
Yeah, I think your characterization, I think, is how we all feel, Mr. Mayor. It's a sad situation. It's we're all sympathetic. The net result is the city would recover its tax money. This woman would recover her property, whether for sale or for some other purpose. And it's, as tragic as the situation is, it's I think a fairly routine, non-controversial vote for us to take. I guess I'd only ask the solicitor if there's a vote we're supposed to take tonight to do this, other than referring it.
Madam Solicitor?
Since the property has already been taken in tax title, if the council could vote to approve the petition, subject to final review of the approval and the city manager, and that way you could delegate your interest in that to the discretion of the city manager. And as Councilor, I would just add that Councilor Martin's summary of it is correct. That ultimately the city will be protected. City will get its taxes paid, and the property will go to good use ultimately.
So move. Second.
Yeah, move to approve the petition, subject to final review and approval by the manager.
On the to approve the petition, any questions or debate? With none, roll call.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you, Attorney. Thank you. We have 5 claims referred to the Law Department by Councilor Kazandrian, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All in favor signify by saying aye. They are on the way to the Law Department. Before we move on to motions, I have a communication here. Dear Mayor and members of the City Council, I wish to inform you that I will be on vacation from Monday, May 18th, 2009 through Friday, May 22nd, 2009. I will be out of the state during this time, and the Assistant City Clerk will assume all duties and responsibilities during my vacation. Very truly yours, Richard C. Johnson, City Clerk. Accept the communication, place it on file by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Richard, have a wonderful vacation. You certainly deserve some time off. Moving on with the motions. Motions. Councilor Milonazo, request manager report on possible renovations and funding sources regarding the Smith-Baker Center.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you very well know, you appointed a committee made up of community leaders as well as Councilor Lindsay and myself to work with the National Park Service and with the Lowell Plan on looking at Smith-Baker Center. And I want to thank the National Park Service because, as you know, Mr. Mayor, they expended about $25,000 to secure the property.
Yes.
They worked on putting a study together, and I think it's probably time that that study now be referred back, maybe to the Economic Development Subcommittee or a subcommittee of the council to actually begin looking at a possible reuse for the property. So, again, based upon the fact that the report is done, the building has been secured by the National Park Service, it's probably good to take the next step as to what the community would like to see happen with the Smith-Baker
Good
Center.
motion.
That's
and,
the reason for the motion.
Yeah, it's been almost a year now. And
Correct.
we have to either fish or cut bait.
Right.
And it's a good motion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next motion on the agenda, motion by Council Rita Mercia to request vote for 60-day trial handicap sign at 122 Chapel Street and Wash Street, seconded by Councilor Ahmed Mercia. On the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The two 60-day trial requests before us this evening are properly documented as legitimate with proof of disability to complement the motion. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Motion by Council Rita Mercer, City Council requests the City Manager meet with the City Council School Building Program Subcommittee to discuss the jurisdiction of the public health nurse to assign to the school department, seconded by Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion is to ask that all parties come together for the sake of discussing the possibility of putting the public school nurses that are assigned to the school department under the jurisdiction of the school department. I'm not referring to other nurses. We do have other nurses that don't work for the school department. I only ask that through this motion that we start the talks somewhere. Is it a good move? I don't know, but it should be what's best for the nurses and what makes sense in terms of both the children and grant money that are available in the setting that they serve. And I thought that it would be a good idea to refer this motion to the School Building Program Subcommittee that includes and is made up of both the City Council and the School Committee. This subcommittee is chaired by City Councilor Alan Kazanjian with Councilor Rodney Elliott and Councilor Lenzi. But having said that, we're one of the few states, communities in the state set up this way, that we have it now. How do we get past this? There are some concerns here. I don't know where we're going to go with it. I know that it's contractual issues here. If you think that we're not there yet, if we could at least get a report of progress on this particular issue and a recommendation. I don't know where we're going with this. I know there's sides that are button heads here. I think it is a good idea personally, but I know there's contractual issues involved. I know we need the school department to get on board with this. I don't know where we're going, and I'm just trying to start the talks.
Could we also include Manager Lynch, because I know he's been
Sure, the
working...
manager. I'm not
with
making any
superintendent.
recommendations.
Yeah.
I don't know what's best for the city. I'm just saying that talks should begin.
Mr. Manager?
If I may, Councilor, I think it's a very relevant motion right now, and I'd be happy to work on that, developing that report for you. It is something that we've been talking about. I think it's been talked about for years, back and forth, and it starts and it stops. But I think it really is time, and I think it's a very timely motion. And there are collective bargaining issues regarding this. There are a number of other budget-related issues that tie in. I've had conversations with the school department, school administration about this a couple of years ago, and again very recently. If I may follow up on your recommendation, I'll get you a report of where we are and some of the issues and some of the benefits that I see, because I do think there's some benefits that would.
And I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. We know that the arena needs work. We as a city cannot afford some of the repairs there, but if it falls under the domain of education, whereby the university owns it, they can, in that respect, apply for certain grants that the city can't apply for, but under education, they can. This is similar to me in that school nurses coming under the school department can grant money can be available there where it isn't on the city side. I know it sounds strange, but this is the way things work. I can't explain it, but that's what happens. So I think it's a motion that needs to be addressed. We're at a stalemate, it seems. Maybe we need special legislation to get involved. I don't know where we're going, but we need some sort of start to this process. And
Any
that's
other
why I brought it
discussion on this
forward.
motion?
Yeah, I just want to make a suggestion that any discussion that takes place with a subcommittee on this issue involves the nurses themselves, who should be represented at the table.
Well, if I may, Councilor, the issue that we get involved with there is the issue of collective bargaining.
Okay, but someone from the collective bargaining unit should be participating, or at least weigh in on this, shouldn't they?
There may be a. Let me consult with the solicitor on that.
Okay,
I think there's value in having some input received along the way, but there's issues, collective bargaining issues that relate to that as well.
Okay.
Council Elliott and Council Broderick.
I think Council Broderick was before me.
Oh, thanks. I think, just weighing in on what Councilor Amon Mercia said and Councilor Rita Mercia mentioned, I think that this is something that we probably can't participate in actively, but maybe get reports and updates and hopefully encourage the administration and collective bargaining to move it along if it's doable and if it makes sense financially.
Council Elliott?
I was just going to, Mr. Manager, just for the people at home watching, can you just give us a brief synopsis of how we got to where we're at and what the issue is on both sides? I know it's complicated, but it's it clearly is important enough to warrant a motion, and there's been a significant amount of discussion on it. But it's funding and it's jurisdiction and who works for who and.
Well, I think in a nutshell, most communities have moved away from the model that Lowell still has, and that's where the school nurses are part of the health department. Most communities in the state have moved the school nurses into the school department. They're assigned to a school, they're assigned to a principal, the principal has oversight. Here we still have the situation where we have the nurses that are reporting to the health director or a nurse supervisor that works for the health director. So it's a little bit different, and it doesn't necessarily correspond to the need, the specific needs of schools or the specific needs of certain students in the schools. There are special education nurses that work for the school department, and there are the regular school nurses that work for the health department. We do receive a grant. The health department does receive a grant for certain nurses that and there's some issues there regarding coordination with the special education nurses. So there's a lot of different issues going on there, and there are right now their contract of the nurses is with the having them supervised by the health department, so that has to be adjusted in some way. There's also budgetary issues and how that's accommodated, and I know that's a concern of the school department. If we suddenly transferred over $1.8 million worth of salaries into the school department, what money goes with that, and so on. So those are some of the things that are being talked about right now. I do think that it makes, I lean towards the position that it makes sense to have them under the school department, but again, we need to work through all of the implementation details, the collective bargaining details, the budgetary details, and ultimately, I think there will need to be some weigh-in by the City Council and the school committee. We're not yet at that point, but I think, as I said earlier, I think Councilor Rita Mercia's motion is very timely, and I hope to get you a report on that and continue to have discussions with the school department and the unions to make this happen if at all possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Council Milonazo?
The only comment I would make is that since we're early in the discussions, I should publicly state that I do have a sister who is a school nurse. But again, I don't obviously in any way benefit from that, but I just want to publicly state that.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion, excuse me? I'm sorry. By Council Rita Mercia. City Council requests the city manager have the special events coordinator arrange to have each of the participating ethnic, otherwise organizations' flags to fly in the JFK Plaza during the 2009 Folk Festival. seconded by Councilor Elliott. On the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On any given Saturday or Sunday, I witness the joys and the pride of many ethnic groups. They come to the steps of City Hall, we raise their flag, and they're so excited. I see their faces when their flag, the symbol of their former native land, is hoisted up to the sky. Although people live here, their roots started in a place far away that they hold an allegiance to. In an effort to display their pride once again, I thought it would be a good idea that during one of the most ethnically diverse times of the year, being Folk Festival weekend, we could display their respective flags in the JFK Plaza courtyard, where there are 19 flagpoles. The American flag raised the highest, with 14, 16 or so to be joined together, while revelers of many nations come together for a summer celebration of good music, fine foods, and dance under the sky of a city with a background of many different nations. This motion would add the frosting to the cake of diversity. And I'm not trying to create added work for anyone, but we do have a special coordinator, and I'm not saying he's not working hard enough, and I'm not trying to do that, but if he could call to the different groups, because we get the permit, and it used to be Andy St. Onge, but now it's Chris Samaras, and he has all the net numbers of each permit that he has been issued, and he could probably call them and ask them if they wanted to participate and come down on a Thursday before the start of Folk Festival weekend and display that flag, and they could help with the special events coordinator to raise them all up at once. My Polish friends at the Polish flag raising ceremony thought that this would add a certain touch to a wonderful event, and I think it would if you want to do that. It's just a suggestion. Thank
We
you.
have all those flags in the mayor's office. So
Yes.
that's-
And I asked them if your flags were tattered because of this event or whatever, being out there for so long, what would you think of that? They said, well, we'd buy another flag if we needed it. They would not be worrying about that.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? It's a good motion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next motion by Councilor Elliott, request manager work with developer of Hamilton Canal to ensure local business unions are part of construction process. Seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. On the motion, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion does speak for itself, Mr. Manager. I know there's no way we can require it. I think that's been sort of adjudicated with the Supreme Judicial Court, but to mandate a certain percentage. But I think it would be helpful in the spirit of cooperation. It's a huge development project, and especially during these economic development times when people are struggling, a lot of small businesses, they certainly could, if there were, any way we could, sort of, I don't know, target businesses and work with the unions. I don't know if you've had some discussions with them. I think you have mentioned. So anything to help our local businesses, I think would help. $200 million. I mean, if you just take, 10%, 5%, any percentage that could go to help our local economy, I think it would help.
Mr. Manager, and then Mr. Broderick. Councilor Broderick.
Councilor, that's obviously this motion's not a problem at all. We can put a report together for this on this for you. I will tell you that Trinity Financial has already done outreach into the community with a number of the unions, and they're very supportive of this project moving forward. And there are tie-ins to locals right here in the city. So we'll be happy to get that for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a great motion, and it's timely as things start to unfold here and financing is lining up. Is Trinity signatory to the unions? Do you know?
I'd have to check on the status of that, because I believe they are.
I would assume Trinity, Mr. Keefe has been discussing, and hopefully
Yes.
we can get an update. It's a good motion to find out where they're at.
Councilor Milonato.
If I could, I know that over at the Council on Aging, we had a meeting one night, get an update on the Hamilton Canal project, and a number of the union representatives were there, and they actually did speak in favor of the project. And I know that Jim Keefe and his people when they did one of their bigger projects in Boston, worked very closely with the unions in Boston. So, again, I fully expect, based upon some of the discussions that I've had with some of the union representatives, that they will follow through on Councilor Elliott's motion and do just that, work with the unions and the local businesses.
We just can't, Mr. Mayor, we just can't ignore the fact that the unions have been 100% behind this project, and they've been very helpful in making it come about. So if there's any agreements that should be put together, they should be given some sort of
And they do
accommodations.
quality work.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any, Councilor Elliott?
And just following up, I know the general contractor is, I think they're out of Newton. Is there any way that, that we can put them in touch with our local businesses? Is there a list of local businesses that, will be able to bid on projects, or do we know how that's going to work, Mr. Manager?
I don't, the specifics on buying materials and that, I don't know that. I do know, though, that it's been mentioned by several councilors already, and I mentioned it in my comments. They are working closely with the local unions. I know that they have an apprentice program set up with the CMAA. I think they're certainly looking to be part of the community, and that's something that was very important to us when we selected Trinity to be the master developer, because they did have that commitment to the local community. So we'll get that information and see what type of systems can be put in place with the GC so that they do try to buy locally as much as possible.
Great, thank you.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The last motion of the evening by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city manager report on the conclusions and findings of the flood task force from November 2008 to May 2009. Seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you. As we adopted the recommendations from the flood subcommittee task force, a number of members who have been working very closely would like, and I think it makes sense as time moves on, to get some written findings or conclusions from the flood task force, Mr. Manager, that you put together. And I think it makes sense. It seems like NL is working and trying, will abide by the agreement. But as we move forward, hopefully they'll stay the course and will continue to work with us. But just in case, I think it'll be good to have a written proceedings, and that's a request from the flood subcommittee that has been meeting with you. So that's the motion. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Unanswered, non-responsive motions by Councilor Rita Mercier.
That's been answered, I think.
City Council requests the city manager report on the status of the motion regarding biannual trash pickup for uncollectible trash, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier.
I think go ahead.
I know that my colleague to the right's going to say it's been answered, and to some degree it has, and you are going to give us a report, Mr. Manager, but people are still asking me when this is going to take place, and I don't have an answer for them because I didn't receive any information. But suffice it to say, I was going up the street, and a neighbor way up the street, I don't know the person, but they had two big wheels. A big wheel is a plastic thing, like a big tricycle, but it's low to the ground, and there were two plastic ones out there, two of them. Now, if that were me, I would have got my 7-year-old grandson to take a bat and crack it in a million pieces, because he's good at doing stuff, destroying things like that, and it would have fit in the trash receptacle. But be that as it may, I guess they didn't think of that, so they put it aside of the trash maroon bucket, and I knew it wasn't going to be picked up, and yes, it was not picked up. So I'm thinking it's still there. I don't know when he's going to bring it in, but that's okay. But I'm thinking if we had that biannual spring and fall pickup, he could put that behind the house instead of paying like $5 for each thing. And in an effort to not dump it in some secluded area, I thought maybe we could still revisit this. And if he knew that there was going to be such a thing going on, he could say, well, let me put it behind the house, and maybe when this particular date comes, I'll put it out again. Because nobody's coming by to pick it up to say, gee, my kids could use those. And I almost feel like bringing them home and saying to my grandson, go ahead, whack it and put it in the thing, but that's okay. But that's the gist of the motion.
But the constituent could also cut the toy up in pieces and put it in the container.
But he's not doing that.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'd take a wrench and start unscrewing the nuts and bolts just to save $10 or whatever, but that's me.
95% of the people are complying, I think, with this new trash program, and 5% aren't. They have to get in with the program.
I know, that's why I want to help a little bit and have a biannual citywide cleanup like we used to do years ago.
And how costly would that be, Council?
I don't know. Maybe we could even devise some sort of a system whereby we give each family in their tax bill a voucher for one free pickup. How's that? I don't know, something to help somebody. I don't know.
Refer the motion to the manager for report?
Yes.
We'll get that.
Again.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Mayor.
The motion is referred to the manager.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I wonder if we could suspend the rules for the purpose of taking up the lease that was given to us this evening.
I'm glad you asked that, Council, because I was going to ask someone to do that.
Well, before we do that, under suspension as well, because once we're finished with the lease, I'm sure we'll end the meeting. If I could request a suspension on a public safety issue, I mentioned it to the manager earlier today, and I'd like to...
Let us take Council Milanazzo's motion first. Go ahead.
If I could, it's come to my attention that there's a gang, allegedly a gang-related matter going on in Upper Centerville. And it's something that I think that the administration, along with the police department, needs to look at. It's my understanding that there are gang markings up on 19th Street, and Beacon Street. Yes, Council Rita Mercy has it as well. And I just want to make sure that it is brought to the attention of the manager and the police department, because it's something that is concerning the residents up in the Upper Centerville area.
Yes.
So if I could.
Yes.
You bringing that forward as a motion,
Yes,
Council?
yes.
Seconded by Council Rita Mercier.
And if I could comment on that, yesterday on our City Life program, our guest was the Superintendent of Police, Ken LaValle, and I did bring this issue up to him, so he's aware of it, but I was going to bring it up again, so thank you, Councilor, for doing that.
Council Milanazzo's bringing it forward, referring
Yes.
to the manager,
Yes.
to the police
That's
chief. Mr. Manager, do you want to address that?
I'll very briefly, I do have a report from the police department on this, that from January 1st through yesterday, there had been 6 incidents in the Centerville area that were deemed to be gang activity. 3 of them were of vandalism, which seems to be the largest concern in the particular area that Councilor Milanazzo, Councilor Mercy have mentioned, so we are aware of that out there. 2 of them were specifically on. Well, I take that back. 2 of them, all 3 of them, were on the 19th Street area where there was graffiti sprayed, and so we are aware of that. We have stepped up patrols in that area to deal with that issue, but they are aware of it, and I'll get more information on that and report back to the council.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries, and we'll have a report for you, Council. Motion by Councilor Mercier for suspension of the rules, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Roll call on the suspension of the rules.
Councilor Lenzi?
Yes.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Yes.
9 yeas.
The manager has brought forward, as you have on your desk this evening, a contract with Diamond Inc., and the manager is looking for us, the council, to look into this contract, take a vote. We had an executive session last week, and I believe all the requests from the various councilors have been answered. I'll read the first reading by title, then we'll go into anything that's debatable. Authorizing the city manager to execute a lease agreement between the City of Lowell and Diamond Action, Inc., the Lowell Spinners, relative to the use of Edward A. LaLashia Park in the City of Lowell for use by the Lowell Spinners. What's the wish of the body?
Move approval so the purpose of discussion and hopefully take a vote.
Second.
Move approval by Council Arman Mercier.
Second.
Seconded by Council Milonazo. Is there any issues that, Mr. Manager, you could assure the council that those amendments we made last week, if you can identify them and let the council know that they have been addressed?
If I may, Mr. Mayor and Councilor, perhaps what I'll do, if I could, perhaps just go quickly through the lease that has been negotiated for the public watching. This may be the first opportunity they've had to hear what was negotiated. I do think that it was a good lease agreement that we've reached. The Arena Commission and I met earlier today to go over the final parts of the negotiations that occurred. We did take into consideration the recommendations and suggestions of the councilors or the questions that the councilors raised in that executive session, try to have the lease reflect the concerns that were raised, to make sure that we had this, this lease put together in a way that was properly worded and with all the terms and conditions that we are most interested in. Just very quickly, it's a 10-year lease. I think we all know that. It's specifically for the use of baseball. We do require that they have baseball there, as well as make it available for baseball by the University of Massachusetts, as well as other events by the University of Massachusetts at the facility. The university has a rental agreement or a lease agreement already with the city that the Spinners will be bound to. I will tell you that within this lease, there are some fine-tuning that still needs to take place between the university and the Spinners, but the Arena Commission asked that their vote was basically that approving this, subject to the final negotiations that the university and the Spinners are undertaking, and I would ask that the council in its vote do likewise. The one change in the lease this year that is different than the agreement that we had before is that the city, either on its own or through the commission, can now use the facility 5 dates during the year. Prior to this agreement, the lease was basically with just the Spinners being able to utilize it and the university. Now the city can utilize it up to 5 times a year for whatever purpose they would like. The Spinners are responsible for all operating costs of the stadium for the entire period of time that they're there. They will be paying us rent of $180,000 per year starting in year 1. Year 2 and on, it will be increased by 1% per year. That is above, right now the city has been receiving, the last several years, $40,000 a year that goes into a capital fund. The first few years of the lease, I believe it was a $25,000 payment. So we will now be receiving $180,000, and then that increase of 1% per year that will just go into the operations of the city or the enterprise, the arena and ballpark enterprise. In addition to that, there is a language that allows the commission to put in a ticket surcharge beginning in year 2. It's 25 cents per ticket for years 2 through 6, and then it would be raised to 50 cents per ticket. That money that would be raised from that would go specifically for capital costs associated with the ballpark. Those capital costs must be approved by the commission or by the city. It does allow, there is language now within the lease that does allow the facility to be used for other purposes. Those, the stadium had been used for other purposes during the first contract that was held with the Spinners, primarily for high school tournament play, movies, and now a concert. Prior to the old lease had the that they could do this on their own. There is now with some approval needed. They now, under this new contract, I know this is a concern of some of the councilors, the parties agree that in years 1 through 5, the Spinners can hold 1 concert per year, subject to the written permission of the commission, and that would be at no cost to the Spinners. They would not have to pay the city for the right to have that one concert. The second concert would require a fee of $7,500, and any subsequent concerts in that year would have a fee of $10,000. In years 6 through 10, the future concerts would be negotiated with no free concert being provided in those years. Let's see, I think that's the primary or issues that are in the lease. I think it's a good lease for the city. There were some issues raised during the executive session, specifically relating to the solid waste. Solid waste is paid for by the Spinners, and it has been, it will continue to be in this. The police details have been paid by the Spinners, and they will continue to be paid by the Spinners inside and outside the stadium. There were issues raised regarding the scoreboard. That is their requirement that they maintain that scoreboard as part of their operational costs. Likewise, the sound system. The solicitor had the other notes. There's other issues there that you can think of, Ms. Solicitor? Those are we're happy to take questions. Again, I think over the span of the 10 years, we estimate that the city will receive in the rent and the surcharge amounts about $2.5 million.
I just want to let everyone know that I was just informed that Comcast Channel 10 is not focusing or working at this point in time, but it will rebroadcast this entire meeting tomorrow. So it's not any due fault to us. We're bringing up this very important issue. So, Council Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had one question, Mr. Manager, or the city solicitor. There was a clause in the draft that we had reviewed that talked about extended, maybe I don't know if they call it extended season. If the season's extended, paying additional rent, that's not in here. Has that been precluded,
Right,
or?
That was, it's no longer in this lease, and it's something really that has become rather irrelevant. It was in the initial lease because there was a chance that we were going to be changing league affiliations and having a longer season. That's no longer the case, and therefore the parties have agreed to delete that section.
Okay, thank you. As far as I'm concerned, congratulations, good job, and I think it's a win-win for the city. I mean, the place sells out every game, and it's a great take, and brings people in to see the wonderful city. So it's a win-win.
Why don't I just go down the line and ask each councilor if they have any questions, anything that's troubling, and we'll get right through this and take a roll call. Councilor Elliott, do you have any questions?
A couple items, Mr. Manager. I did see there was discussion in the last meeting regarding trash removal, and that is the responsibility of the Spinners, as noted in here. Snow removal is the responsibility of the city. I mean, not that the facility is going to be used that much, but what does that require? I mean, is anything open during?
Just the store.
The store
that's out front there, and
okay.
it's done. I would assume as part of the overall sidewalk maintenance that's done in that area.
Okay, and I had one more question on parking. That we're required to provide parking.
That's right? Being negotiated with the university to work out how that's going to take place.
But does this not cite that the city is responsible for providing parking to the Spinners?
I'll have this. That was an issue that we were discussing.
The parking agreement would state that they would attempt to get work out a parking arrangement with the university, and that in addition to that, the city would endeavor to set up some metered parking.
Right, I did see
preferably
the metered
15-minute, maybe 30-minute parking for the purpose of customers utilizing the Spinners store front, and that currently doesn't exist. And it's also, one of the concerns of the commission was that there had been previously parking out in front of the stadium, which was somewhat unsightly. And so those efforts would be designed to remove, there's been an agreement to remove that parking out front and relocated to a more appropriate place.
Okay, and I did have just one more in Section 512. The commission and the city retain the right to hold up to 5 for-profit or non-profit events for the premises, providing they don't interfere with the spinner schedule, which makes sense. But what does the city do? Book them in advance, or?
Correct.
Advance of the schedule coming out, or how does that work?
We would have to work around the schedule that the Spinners have regarding the use of the facility.
Of the minor league baseball teams. Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Council Kazandra?
Thank you, Mayor. On the concerts, we're giving him one free concert per year, is that correct?
For the first 5 years.
For the first 5 years?
Correct.
Why are we doing that?
It was part of the negotiations, really, that they would, they've increased their rent dramatically, and they felt that, they had stepped up to the plate on that. We felt that we should get something for those additional concerts. The compromise was that they would have one free one, that they would be able to get the revenue from that, and then we would get a share of the, in the others through those payments of $7,500 and $10,000. It's basically, when you have negotiations, there's give and there's take, and this was the.
Oh, I think we've been given more than we've been taking. I just feel that you got the Spinners having a, let's say, the Dropkick Murphy grossing $500,000, and we get nothing out of that, and I just feel that, like I said, we've been given a lot, so. Also, outside security, are we responsible for that? I know we brought that up last time.
Right, I think I addressed that in my comments earlier, that they are responsible for that.
They're going to be responsible for it.
They have been, and they will continue to be.
Okay, thanks.
Council Lindsay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that was my question about the $7,500 or something for their first concert, but don't we have to beef up public safety if we know there's going to be a concert over there? And I just think, that $7,500 that they were willing to give us the last time, but I think that covers some additional costs that are directly connected with a concert or an event that happens at the stadium. Almost, it should be like a fee for having the concert.
Well, they pay for that outside security. Even at the concert, when it's beefed up, the police require additional officers there, and they pay for those.
But beyond, the immediate premise outside, we have to beef up public safety, not just around the stadium, but, if it's a Dropkick Murphy concert, there could be, some rowdy kids or something that may cause, us to have more people assigned for that shift that night or whatever it might be. Is that the case? If we know there's a concert over there, do we beef up above and beyond the immediate area, the city?
We beef up mostly just around that stadium, around the stadium area. We don't add on if we know the Dropkick Murphys are coming in or something, or a large group. We don't, just as we don't with the arena or the auditorium, add on additional people throughout the city. We just really station them at the facility.
Mm-hmm. So could there be, going forward, a fee that's attached to having a concert or something, an activity like that, that maybe isn't in a contract, but some sort of a fee?
Right. Again, we really don't have a fee. We have we bill them for the people we assign to that facility. So there's no fee that then we're expected to pay out those other people. We charge them specifically for the people that they are assigned.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Council Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't have any questions, much like the executive session meeting. By the time it gets down this side, I think a lot has been answered. But I do think it's a fair proposal. I think, we'd always like to see more. But I think given the parameters that were imposed on us primarily by minor league baseball and the lack of bidders for this facility, I think the Arena Commission and the administration did a good job, and so I want to congratulate them for their work. I'd last meeting, I thanked the commissioners. I think they put in countless hours on this, and I think they deserve our thanks. And I want to thank the spinners for their patience. I know when you're not used to dealing in a public forum, it's never easy to do that, and they've certainly been patient through this process. And they're a very valuable asset to the city. You know, since the Webbers came here, they've run a first-class operation that I think is the envy of anybody in minor league baseball, and for that, I think we're happy and grateful. So, you know, the financial terms, you know, again, it's money, and you'd always like to see more. I'd like to see more, but I think this is a fair proposal, and the people intimately involved should take credit for it.
I just want to reiterate what Councilor Martin has said. I want to commend the commission and the manager for putting together a negotiation that is the best for the city, the best the city could possibly have. The biggest benefit, I think, is not only the monetary value, but what it brings to the city in terms of reputation. When the spinners are advertised all over the state on TV, it's Lowell that shows, the Lowell spinners. I think that has a value of its own. So I do also want to commend the commission and you, Mr. Manager, for putting forward something that is, in my opinion right now, the best the city could possibly get. And I want to commend Mr. Weber for coming to the table and being open-minded about it. So I think this is a win situation from the city. I've heard from an awful lot of constituents who thought that our action was going to be negative and therefore we would be held accountable. At least I was told that I would be held accountable if anything ever happened to that affiliation with the Red Sox. And it's not going to happen that way. I think this is great for the city, and I think that the commission should be commended for the action that they've taken, as well as Councilor Martin said, you, Mr. Manager, and Mr. Weber, because those are tough situations to be put in. But I think the city is going to be benefiting tremendously from this new lease. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Rita Mercer.
I look at this whole thing a little bit differently in that 10 years ago, we approached this venue with the idea that we didn't know how it was going to develop. Was it going to be a shining star? Was it going to fall flat on its face? So we gave a break. I think we kind of gave a break. And 10 years went by, and we saw that it was just an asset to the city. We seen a council in a city that didn't get that much money, and we kind of thought, gee whiz, when we look at the overall picture again, maybe we can get a heck of a lot more. And at least that's what I thought. And I felt that way because I know in 10 years from now, I won't be here negotiating this, so I said, I got to get as much as I can for the people in the city. In doing so, you have to realize that maybe it's not all about money. Maybe it's about the atmosphere that is created with this. And I heard from a lot of people, please don't let us down. Please make sure that the ballpark stays there. Having said that, could we have gotten more? I don't know. I don't really know. But what we got was a heck of a lot more than what we had. And keeping the perspective in place, I think it's relatively fair, although I don't want to play Monopoly with Drew Weber anytime soon, because he is one tough cookie to get another dime out of. But having said that, I'm just so happy that things will continue, the venue will be there, and I say, play ball.
Councilor Milanese.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I think it's a fair contract. I do congratulate the commission and the manager and the solicitor's office for working so diligently on the contract. I do have a question on the commission events. We now, under this agreement, have permission to have 5 events during the course of the year. I guess my question is, how active or proactive will the commission be in going out and working through maybe the Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau, maybe Mill City Management? Again, I don't know who at this point, but to actually bring in an event that the commission, therefore the city, can bring additional monies in as a result of being able to have those 5 events. So again, I would be looking not necessarily even for an answer tonight, but I'd be looking for the commission to be proactive in bringing those. I know there's a 30-day notice for each date that we have to bring to the spinners, but to start that process now so that we can actually start scheduling events there, because it is a terrific
Manager?
venue.
Counselor, I don't have an answer right now for you on that, and but I agree with you that we really should take advantage of that. I think the thought was when we added that language in twofold. One is the possibility of having our own for-profit event that would bring money into the city, that would go toward, be able to be put towards the Arena Enterprise account, or however that we want to structure that. So I do think that there's some potential there. The other aspect of this that we heard from, I think the councilors heard it, and I heard it, and the commission, was that there's organizations in the city that at some point in the future may be interested in using it for a community type event, a baseball related community event, an adult league or a youth league that obviously we can't do it for everybody, but there may be something we could do that lets the citizens of the city use the facility. And so the thought was sort of twofold. One is that, and the other is some for-profit opportunities for us.
My last question, do we know when the Spinners will begin their renegotiating, if you will, with the Red Sox to continue that affiliation?
They have an agreement that lasts another 2 years, I believe, and then they'll have to renegotiate from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Lindsay, Councilor Cassandra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would be remiss if I didn't extend what I think is a very good job putting this contract together, and it's very extensive, and it's much better than what we had. And I don't know how Chris O'Connor can put together all these paragraphs and apostrophes.
Chris O'Connor and the law department
Yes.
needs applause
No
like
doubt
you wouldn't
about it.
believe for many, many, many things. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't praise them enough for what they do.
Great job.
But the thing that Councilor Rita Mercia mentioned, and I think everybody feels the same, is the intangibles. We're discussing gang-related activities in Centerville, and I think what the Spinners offer the city is that they bring families together. There's mothers and fathers, there's sons and daughters, and it's the intangibles that I think are the most important thing that the Spinners bring to the city of Lowell, as well as the advertising that Councilor Armin Mercia mentioned also. But it's those things that keep our families together and our kids busy that really add an awful lot to our community.
Councilor Cassandra?
Thank you, Mayor. Just going back to this free concert, what if this individual only has one concert a year? I mean, then we receive nothing. Can we put some type of language, if it's only one concert, that we receive something for that one concert? Here we are, we got a businessman with a business, and he's using our field other than baseball, and we're giving him a free use of our stadium for a concert where he's gonna make a lot of money, which is great. We just want a little piece of the pie. Is there something we can put in there that we can,
No, this was the negotiation. This is what was reached.
This is it?
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Before I ask the vote, Mr. Manager, we're going to have a chance to have 5 of our own concerts.
5 events.
5. And the Spinners will have as many as they want, or just, the Spinners will have one or many of their own? Or?
In terms of concerts, and right, they can have anything that they can fit in there in that time frame. They could do that, right?
Well, it's before you, and before we take a roll call, I just want to say that 1998, the Lasher Ballpark opened. And over the course of the past 10 years, the Spinners have contributed in rent approximately $360,000. In this contract, they're going to contribute $360,000 in the first 2 years. Over the 10-year lease of the contract, we will receive approximately $2.4 million. And I think our constituents, the people we represent, understand fully. And I think we got that message out there. We only wanted what was fair for the city, fair for everyone. Could we have gotten more? I don't know. In this economic climate, we probably would have crossed the fine line. So I think this is a lease and a contract I can support. Just one more question, Mr. Manager. On the details outside the Lasher Ballpark, the spinners pay for all those police officers?
Yes, they have been paying for those, and that will continue under this agreement,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? If none, roll call.
Counselor Lenzi?
Yes.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Armand Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Counselor Kazanjian?
No.
8 yeas, 1 nay.
Before we adjourn, I think it'd be appropriate to thank not only Manager Lynch and his administration, but the law department
Absolutely.
for working tirelessly on this issue. Entertain a motion to adjourn by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Milonazo, and I understand that the Bruins were 2-1, leading 2-1 somewhere along the line. 4-1. Okay.